If I had the option right now, I would set back technology by 20 years with a click. Being young was way more fun.
I don't think being young was more fun, but I don't think what's coming next is also more fun.
But imagine I have to do like employment.
Wait, maybe. Adulthood is like played to be such a big thing when you're a kid. It sounds like this whole thing. It even has some mysterious vibe to it. Like, oh, adulthood. Well, I don't know. When I was a kid, I always imagined like all the adults have this like secret that they don't tell the kids.
They
And then
don't.
there was like some magic to it, but now we're actually adults and it doesn't feel like that at all. Like
The
I was
magic,
so wrong.
the magic to it is more like planning when to wash the dishes.
Yeah, or like when you should do laundry.
It's also interesting to me that imagine as a kid, you get, let's say, 12, 13 years of trial, free trial. It's like the beginning of a game, if you
Okay.
imagine life as a game.
Yes.
And then at like age 12 or 13, you always think about, okay, now I need to, at least it was for me, I don't know, which university we should go to. Then you start preparing for that school. I'm not even talking about COVID because that was just random. But you have to start preparing for which university to go to get into the university. Then
If you go to
between,
university.
if you go to
Yeah.
university,
If not, you're just already in
you're
the job
cooked.
market. But
Yeah, true.
if you don't want university, you're not cooked, but you're kind of cooked because the job market is cooked.
The job market is cooked, and without a degree, you're just not getting paid enough, and you have to go to university. And then your age is between 18 to 21, 22, maybe 23, I don't know, goes through that education. And nowadays, they also want a master in the job market, in the masters, if you want to stay.
Yeah, for a qualified job.
Like from some of the people I heard, they even say that masters is required. Some say don't, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Then
Depends on what you
you
want to
spend
work.
2 years on that.
Yeah.
So you're at now like 25, 26. Then you start working. But isn't 25 or 26 a bit too late to start working also?
No, I don't think so.
But how do you survive realistically until 25, 26?
Student jobs, part-time jobs, your parents. If you have those parents that can support you. I don't know, like I've also heard that the problem is sometimes you have to be more qualified. For example, you need a master's or whatever for a certain job.
Yeah.
Then you're competing with a lot of people who have very similar masters, and then what matters is like your extracurricular
Mm.
activities, or sometimes you try to go for an entry level job, and it happens that you're too qualified, and they turn you down for being too qualified.
I wish that was the case.
Yeah, but like imagine like you try something in your area, nothing is working out, then you will realize, okay, maybe I need to go like a bit lower, do something like that's not even in my area, but like I don't know,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
And then you can't even get that because you're too qualified. Like you can't get either a job, a good job, or a not so good job.
Yeah.
That's crazy, you
You're
know.
stuck in the middle.
You're
I mean,
stuck in the middle.
I can talk from experience. I'm a computer science student.
Yeah,
And
he's a computer science student.
yes, unfortunately.
He's so smart.
No. But whenever we apply to internships, for example, there's an immediate rejection. It's just
D-
tough. It's
And they don't give you an explanation, do
They
they?
don't give you an explanation. They just say
Yeah.
we have better candidates. But also now it's getting a bit more tough because now the schools are expecting the students to use AI because it's rising, and students obviously they use it. So the schools are making the tasks impossible to do without AI. So that pushes us to use it. I've checked like our assignments from, let's say, this year and a couple of years back before AI, and they're significantly easier. So you still have to, let's say it's a programming task, like before the assignment they gave, if you just put it to ChatGPT or let's say Claude, it's gonna do it with like 95% accuracy. But now the stuff they give, it's so just brain melting that when even if you give it to the AI, the result it gives you is not like it's not what you want. So you have to manually tweak it until it works, and that's what they want to teach you, you know? So as a teaching model, yeah, that's good, but
Okay.
also it's making us dependent on AI also.
Yeah, and
Now that what I'm realizing is most of people who come into computer science, or even in the same year as me, they don't know how to code.
yeah, and when they get to their future job, then they're expected to just deal with problems or issues that arise, fixing them with AI, not by their actual skills.
Yes, because they will not have the enough experience to, for example, to know that a certain bug is caused by a certain error you made or someone else made. So it's just gonna be dependent on AI. And people are gonna realize this. So it's gonna be probably harder for us to get jobs in the future because we are gonna have more tedious interviewing processes. It's just gonna be harder
But
for everyone.
you think those tedious interview processes to make sure that you don't use AI, or just because they are more strict?
I don't know. Could be both. Could be both.
Because then it's like very counterintuitive because you're in university and they already expect you to use AI, so whatever will just make it more difficult. But then you get to jobs and they don't want you to use AI,
Yes.
which
It's,
fair,
I mean,
like as they should.
but it's because what I realize is AI still does not think very clearly. It still makes a lot of mistakes, and still, for example, the code written by AI.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you caught up with the news, but for example, some, let's say, apps that were coded with AI only,
there was a bug on my leg. Yeah, just
they were found to have a lot of security breaches
mhm.
because the AI just didn't know that, for example, the things that he should protect, he did not think they were valuable enough to protect. So any person who knows a bit about hacking hacked the database of the app that they made and stole all the data.
Yeah.
And this would not be possible if a human just rechecked the code base.
And not even I don't think like in cybersecurity or just like in the computer science world. I've seen a lot of people talking about how they like leaked confidential information to ChatGPT, for example, just
Yes,
by working like regular secretary jobs or things
yes.
like that. Like by write an email about this and it's confidential information.
And
It's like,
you know what's the funniest thing?
yeah,
When you sign, like agree to use ChatGPT,
yeah,
you say, you like say accept to a cookie. I think you can opt out of it, but I'm sure no one does.
yeah, because they're used to just clicking
Clicking allow, allow,
all.
allow.
I just want to get past
Or I'm not
this.
even sure if you can opt out of it. I'm not even sure of that. You give them permission to use any conversation you do as training data. So
Yeah, yeah.
any sensitive information you leak, you're basically giving to the AI company that you're using the AI of.
Hmm.
So I think they're realizing that AIs are now becoming a tool of information collection because they can just scrape the information that they
They
collected
who
with the AI.
the the companies who
Companies or whoever pays the
I don't
companies.
think they're only realizing now. I don't think it's the main plan, but like they know they will gather some data, you know? And data is very valuable.
I mean, I'm sure you know it, but like how the AIs are created, they are illegally pirating all the books and movies with
Yeah.
licenses,
Yeah, yeah.
and they're feeding them, and they're
Yeah.
like they admitted to illegally doing this, which if you and I did the same thing that, for example, those companies do, we would get so crazy fines.
Even if they get the fine, they can just pay it off.
Yeah, they can.
So,
But with the use of AI, the job market just gets insanely saturated. The person who's knowledgeable has built everything to the according to how it should be, when the AI is just pressing all the buttons to make it work.
mhm.
And so, but this becomes harder and harder to distinguish by, let's say, recruiters. So they do harder interview processes, and that in the end, let's say they are interviewing you harder than a job that you are applying for. So let's say you're applying for a job with 50% intensity, they are interviewing for a job with 80% intensity, even though you will not see that 80% intensity in your job, because they want to make sure that the person who's hired knows what they're doing. And
Yeah.
this makes it harder for everyone to get hired in the end.
Yeah, but at the same time, the companies are making sure that they hire the best of the best.
Yes,
So yeah, it's just there's just more pressure to be the best of the best.
yes.
Yeah.
The segregation of classes goes even higher.
And at the same time, they're kind of downsizing.
They are,
They want the best of the best, but also getting rid of all the others because they're gonna just replace them with AI as well.
of course, they are.
So
I mean,
so yeah, it's like it's like very hard to win in
Yeah,
in this system. And as a Gen Z person, like we are the generation, the group of people that are now entering the job market or have recently entered, and we're trying to make it in adulthood, let's say
yeah.
it like that. Like it's just so much more pressure than I think before. I mean, I don't know because I didn't live as an adult before,
Me neither.
but but I just think it is very difficult. And not only that, then there's economic crisis, housing market, like
Also, the fact
is
that
also very
these
yeah,
data centers they're building
data centers, yeah,
requiring crazy water,
crazy water, and actually like ruining the neighborhoods around it.
neighborhoods around
Like
it also.
they have a lot of like blackouts. The water, like I saw like some article that said like water in some places was coming out like brown
Yeah. Okay.
or no water.
Let's think about the scalability of it this way. So my friend recently said he used all his like limits on his choice of AI. He used all his tokens and he switched because he wanted to finish a project, and so he switched to a pay as you use plan. And he said, because in the AI company that he signed up for, he can do that. Like
Nice.
if he reaches a limit, he
Not
can
nice.
pay for you. Yeah, it's not nice. And he said he switched to that, and he ran two prompts, two easy prompts on his AI, and it costed him 1.4 euros. So if two prompts costs around to the end user 1.4 euros, imagine how many prompts are being entered
By the
and
minute.
by the minute, and
Yeah.
where is that money coming from?
Yeah, actually, where is that money
Where
coming
is that
from?
money coming from? It's not coming from anywhere. They're gathering these huge bubble investments.
Mm-hmm.
If it pays off, yes, amazing. But if it doesn't pay off, then we can see something like the 2010 housing crisis, where the bubble popped at the end, and everyone was just in a triangle of debt,
Yes.
and then everyone just collapses.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it's now it's they took a gamble. If it pays off, if the research they do, if the data centers they build turned out to be, let's say, profitable, it might be good for the economy. But there's only one scenario where we make it, and I see a lot of disaster scenarios where we don't make it, and then it's gonna be like Wall-E.
Okay, that's a very negative scenario,
I can see
like
that.
a very negative perspective on this.
I can see that.
Things evolve very quickly and time passes anyway, you know? Like time is always passing.
Yeah, we continue, of course.
But I want to ask you, do you think degrees still matter? Like, do degrees still mean anything?
That's a good question, but it's also, I think, um, it's a matter of viewpoint, because to end user, let's say to a student who gets their degree, I would say I'm 100% confident that if it's an engineering degree, they can do it online. Like they can learn everything they're gonna learn about engineering, or let me say computer science, because I know about that the most, online, 100%. Like you don't even need to go to the university.
I mean,
But
technically, you can learn anything online, you know? Like, I study social
okay,
sciences, and all I read, for example, it's very based on reading. I could just read it.
but let's say you can't learn welding online because like you can't weld at home with fire equipments. That's
Okay,
what
but
I'm.
welding isn't like a university bachelor, is there? There's like professional courses, but
But when you said anything, see, for example, you can't learn welding.
okay. I mean, of course, I'm sure if you get the equipment, you pull up some YouTube videos, and I'm sure you can learn some welding there. I'm sure you can learn something there. But like,
Okay,
but then you don't have a certificate in your
exactly.
CV.
Let's say I'm gonna talk for computer science. You don't need the degree. What you need the degree for is to get employed.
Yeah.
Because without a degree, they're not gonna take you seriously. Even if you know everything,
Yeah.
even if you know everything, all the concepts, and you pass every interview. Of course, there are exceptions to this, but they're not even gonna look at your resume because you have no degree. And right now, there's a lot of competition because in 2018, 2019, a lot of people started studying computer science and engineering, and now it becomes even less. I mean, at my time, when I first started, ChatGPT was newly released,
Hmm.
so I watched it evolve,
Yeah.
and it's crazy. In the last five, if you ask me 5 years ago if we would have AI that's this capable, I would say that you are definitely not a sane person.
Yeah.
But now I see it, and if I have to go back in time and explain to me 5 years ago that this is the state of artificial intelligence now, he would go crazy.
Hmm.
But now we just accept it because that's our reality, and we have to adjust at the end. I talked with my cousin, who is now in high school, and he said that even his like high school peers, they are using ChatGPT and AIs to slack on their essays or their math homework. And I'm thinking, if I used that much AI at age 10, would I have developed the critical thinking skills that I have now? I mean,
Yeah.
not that they have much developed, but it
You wouldn't have.
could be worse.
Yeah, you
From
wouldn't have. Like, for example, I I know myself, and I know that if I was in fifth, sixth grade, and I had math homework that I hated doing, of course I'm like 11 years old. Of course I'm opening ChatGPT and I'm putting there my math homework, and I'm gonna
yeah,
like have it. I
copy.
wanna go play, you know.
So
I wanna go do something cool that
yes,
11-year-olds like doing, you know.
but that's like we don't see it at that point, but it's actually essential teaching. So
Yeah.
we are basically promoting children not to think,
Yeah.
not promoting, but enabling.
Yeah, letting them, because for example, the fact that at 11 years old I was forcing myself to like think and solve those math problems, let's
Yeah,
say, or whatever it was, like literature questions, you know, things like that, making myself like force myself to think about it made me the person that I am today.
yeah,
And I didn't think that at the time. At the time I thought it was so boring, but now I see, and like, yeah, some some parts of it
yeah,
paid off, you know.
yeah.
Did I need all that homework? Probably not.
Probably not.
Like half of it, good.
Yeah, but now children are just not thinking, and they're just not getting these critical thinking skills. They're not writing essays, they're not writing short stories. Like I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
in middle school, they had me write a lot of short stories, which probably developed the writing skills I have right now.
Hmm.
But if I didn't do that, would I have been able to even speak English this good? I don't know. Like
True.
be fluent this much in English, because if they don't even try to learn, because in your brain, neural pathways, it's like you have brain elasticity, and the more you learn, the more you become eager to learn, and it's like a chain reaction. So the more neurons you activate, the more neurons you are likelier to activate.
Yeah.
So if we put a stop to this, then how are the kids, the future generation is going to be raised to battle with the depth that the world is leaving them with? I don't know.
It's like we always talk about how convenience culture, or like convenience, is killing our livelihood of, but we talk about adults and things like that, but actually convenience is ruining the future of many children right now.
Yeah,
We're talking about Gen Z, but if you look at Gen Alpha, they're cooked. They're
yeah.
they're cooked.
I
And
see.
we think we're cooked because we are cooked, but they're even more cooked.
No, I saw in a restaurant a parent couple and a kid,
Mhm.
and the kid was watching AI made shorts made by AI with those like crazy cats, and they can't even speak, and you don't even know what's going on in there, but the kid is just consuming that stuff. How is that gonna affect a 4-year-old?
Yeah, because
When I was 4-year-old, my parents were very careful what I was consuming.
good for you.
Yeah,
Good
good
for
for
you.
them.
Good
Good for
for
me.
you.
But like now I'm even seeing like these children books I saw on YouTube,
There's children
book
books like that are AI generated also.
and copied, and
Yeah.
the letters when you read them, they do not form actual words. Like it's copied from an actual children's book. They make it an audiobook on YouTube. They copy the thumbnail, and they don't even try to change it, but they just deform the words with AI. And then the entire book is AI auto-read, and they just make it, paste it to make money. But now this is the demographic is for children, right? So the children consume it. So they're just learning slop gibberish. Are they gonna be able to speak properly, communicate properly? Like these are still, we are so early in these.
My face is
Yes,
crazy.
We are so early of the age of AI that we don't know the long-term consequences of it. If I
Yeah,
had the option,
it's too out of control.
if I had the option right now, I would set back technology by 20 years with a click. We don't know the long-term consequences.
We don't know the long-term consequences. I was just thinking about this the other day, like we don't know, like for example, what you just said about like will children who are consuming AI slop be able to read?
Yeah,
Like I was like that's one thing that I never really crossed my mind, but like the other day I was thinking about all other like consequences that also don't usually cross our mind, you know?
yeah,
And like what other things do not also like
we don't know. We don't
that
know.
we don't know, you know? Like it's there's so much we don't know,
Yeah,
and it's just out there and everyone can use it, and in a way it's in a way you can think it's freeing that like, oh, we're just using it and then we'll see, like we're just living, enjoying life or however it is, like, you know. But at the same time we might be making life very awful for the
yes, yeah.
future people, for our
We
kids,
might
for us.
we might be the last generation that gets to enjoy nature.
That's so sad.
That's very sad.
That's very sad.
Like
Yeah.
look back how green and beautiful this place is. And this place is a university campus.
Yeah.
It's still very green. But
Yeah,
are
a
we
little
gonna
green.
like I said, it comes down to volley.
Yeah.
That movie left me, I don't know, left me in shock again.
Yeah. We watched Wally recently. That's why we keep talking about Wally.
Amazing movie though.
Very good movie. I think like just all connects to adulthood very well. Like what I was saying before, I talked about like when I was a kid, I thought there was some sort of magic when we were adults and something to be discovered, something about the world that will be more apparent to us when we're adults. I don't know, that's might sound so stupid now that we're
I always thought
grown,
like
but
they looked like the adults I saw, my cousins, my parents, their friends. They always looked like they had everything figured out, but now that I see it's just an act.
yeah, it's pretty much an act. And
Because now my cousin sees me and says, "Oh, you have it all figured out." My high school cousin was in high school, and I'm like, "No,
no,
it
yeah.
might look like that, but no. I
Yeah.
am also living life for the first time. I don't have any much more clue than you do."
And we have to worry about these things that we didn't think much about before, like what is AI going to do to our world? Like, will nature still be here? Like, will we be able to get a job? Will be
Not
able
even that,
to
but yeah,
have a future? Like, so many things that are like unknown to us. And
on the short term, for example, one of my thoughts is when I graduate, am I going to be deported? You know, when I became an adult, I didn't think it was going to be my
yeah,
daily occurring thought.
non EU, non EU problems.
Am I going to be deported? I don't know.
Yeah,
Time will tell.
time will tell. That's crazy.
Deportation video.
Deported.
You,
My boyfriend was deported.
my boyfriend was deported. Very, very dangerous.
Very
In
dangerous.
parentheses,
He died.
he died. Victim öldü.
And since everything is kind of an act, then we also believe that there's this clear path that we're going to choose, that there's this idea of like we'll get things figured out, we will know what we want by then, and we will have it all laid out for us, but it there really isn't. I think getting old is realizing that free will is really a thing. Because at this point I can just, you know, I'm studying in university. I have some career paths ideas, you know, but what if I just move to Venezuela and live in the in the forest jungle?
I don't have the visa for that.
Stop.
I can't come, Wilson.
Okay, not Venezuela.
Wilson, lo
I don't know,
siento.
like we can just I said Venezuela very
Kyrgyzstan,
randomly.
Kyrgyzstan,
Like I can just go to Kyrgyzstan or whatever. I mean,
Tajikistan.
to Kazakhstan. We can go to Mongolia, you know?
Ride horseback in Mongolia.
Ride horse, whatever. That thing.
That thing.
Or if I wanted, like right now I can just, I'm studying social sciences. What if I just decided that actually I want to be a chemist and I just started studying chemistry. I could do that.
You could.
Like and my whole career will be very different. You know, like I can just do that. There's no like growing up is having to accept uncertainty and that nothing is really granted to us, you know, like
I
anything
mean,
can
a
change
lot
at
of
any
a
moment.
lot of things are granted to a lot of people, but maybe
Mhm.
just say certainty is not granted.
Not life is not granted.
Life is not
Those
granted.
people, you're I think you're talking about rich people. Yeah, rich they can die. Their companies can go bankrupt at any moment for some reason they cannot foresee, you know? Like life is so uncertain, you know?
Yes.
And I think that's what growing up is.
It's realizing that it's always gonna be uncertain, but I feel like as you grow up, you'll learn more to live with it.
Yeah.
So the uncertain part of it doesn't change, but you adapt into I'm gonna take pictures. You adapt more into fuck, I'm sorry. I'm gonna be here. Rabbits. I think you understand.
Yeah. Oh. So Poyraz is now taking photos of rabbits. Is it chasing? He's chasing the rabbits. There's things we don't enjoy much about life around us, I guess, all the time. But you kind of have to realize that's just how it is and accept it. Not accept it in a way that you're okay with it, but accept that that's the world you live in and you can make whatever you want out of your life within what's possible, you know, don't as long as you're not harming other people. And worrying about what was before the past when we were kids and worrying about the future won't really take us anywhere in some way. It won't really lead us anywhere. And what we have to focus on right now is the present, is all that surrounds us right now, what we can see with our eyes. That's what really matters to us emotionally. We don't know where AI is going to go. We don't know like what will be the consequences of this, like we were saying. But yeah, will we be able to buy a house? We don't know. You know?
I mean, I will be buying one for sure.
Bro, just flexing on his ability to buy a house.
I couldn't photograph the rabbits. I was so sad.
I was just saying that life is unpredictable
Yeah.
and that we don't know where AI is going to go, if we're going to get employed, if we're going to get a house. All the pressures and the anxieties from the world around us, they are real, but maybe they don't matter as much, you know?
Yeah.
Because if we keep thinking about the bad stuff in our world,
Bad stuff never ends.
like, yeah, like wars, conflicts, bad companies, bad intentioned people.
Yeah.
If we keep focusing on that, then we might let the good stuff pass by without even noticing it.
Yeah. You have to focus on the good.
And you have to focus on the present.
There is no bad without the good, and there's no good without the bad.
Yeah, and I just wish more people realize that, you know, instead of just focusing on the bad part, like if older generations had realized that, maybe. I think what separates Gen Z from other generations is that we kind of think more about these things. I think.
Yeah.
I think we as you said, like we might be the last generation to like fully enjoy nature. We want to hold to it, you know?
Yeah.
Well, we want to keep it.
Keep it because it's too good not to keep.
Yeah, and not only nature, all other good things in life, you know?
That we have.
Alyssa Liu's mindset. Do you think this was good?
Yeah. Nice.